We'll line up.
I don't know.
I will do what I'm told.
What's the question?
Oh, I'm just curious. It's like, are we standing here to talk to the map over there?
No,
Oh, no, no,
we're
no.
lining up here.
You'll grab a mic, turn it on, and then walk over to the front when it's your turn.
That's a lot of mics.
To do a quartet.
Morning, how are you? Yeah, they're in that FCBA trailer. Yeah, I am too. Yeah.
The maps aren't georeferenced.
Tony, you gonna speak?
I passed that on.
Okay. They're not.
Yeah.
They're not.
Sid knows about it. He said they're working on it. Yeah.
Okay.
Still not anywhere close to my largest briefing.
Okay, so I'm gonna have everybody kind of down here. We have 9 mics, so I'm just gonna say situational update. I'll let you introduce yourself with your own names and all that kind of stuff. But when you come off, whoever's last in line, just hand the mic off if you don't have one. We have 9 mics. All these mics are available.
Off and on the same direction?
Yeah. So, yeah.
I got my own mic.
Yeah.
You can. If you don't, just
So-
grab it from the other person.
So let's line up along here because we have 3 minutes before we start. So line up along here.
You are.
Grab a mic if you're one of the first speakers.
I don't know what order I am, but I know I'm always before you. So the S-band has the
Being an
easiest
S-band
order.
is great because I find the person.
And we have our weather. Climate. Second. Then we have our F band. Third. I'll do the objective. Two minutes. We have 2 minutes until briefing. If we can get everybody to come up closer to the stage, we appreciate it. We'll get the briefing started in 2 minutes.
Just let them know that when you do. Perfect. Mike, the peanut gallery.
Okay. Just a quick announcement before we get started. We do have more IAPs that will be coming. We'll have them set up on the table up here to my right, your left. It's where we'll have more IAPs, but they are coming.
To the upper end. I don't think it's quite the largest briefing.
We're gonna have to move this like into the stadium.
So, center stage, if you're in center of the wall, they have a good shot of you with the camera. So,
Okay, so where should I stand
move
so
around
they
a little
don't
bit
have a
and
shot
they'll
of
follow
me?
you, but
Center of the map.
best
Stand
is
in the
right in
center.
front of the wall.
I like my tape box on the floor so I know where to stand.
Oh, I'm sure one will show up.
Good morning. If we can have everybody gather up, we'll get this morning briefing started. My name is Robert Ashby. I'm Plan Section Chief with the Unified Incident Command Team. If you can please silence your radios and your cell phones, and please hold all site conversations to a minimum, and we'll get started this morning. This morning we'll start with our situational update with Luis Gomez.
All right, good morning. Luis Gomez, Night Operations. Starting off in Division J, there was a lot of patrolling, mopping up, dealing with smokes and calls. We had multiple calls for power, water, fires from power being turned back on, so that was occurring all night long. And Mike was the same thing, just still patrolling. There's a lot of heat still out there in the houses that have been burned, and so we're still dealing with that, and then they're resurfacing again. And Quebec is the same. In Yankee, we still had quite a bit of activity as well up in the houses and with mopping up and cleaning up, and again, service calls with some looting going on and those kind of things. Zulu, same. Just continue to clean up, monitor, and work with getting power, getting contractors into the sites that we need to have turned off, gas, water, electric again, or things being turned back on. Moving around the top, it was pretty quiet. What we were getting from air attack was pretty minimal. We did have some movement of the fire up in Division D. It dropped off the backside into the drainage. And then we did have some helicopter drops, a couple of them, but wind was a factor last night trying to work out there. Coming around into Division G, off into Chantry Flat in the area, we had one cycle of helicopter drops done in there to hold things in check for today. That's the end of the night ops.
Next, we'll have weather.
Good morning, everyone. James White, incident meteorologist, for your weather update. If you look at the top of your IAP, there is still a red flag warning in effect for this zone until 6 p.m. this evening. The good news is that red flag warning is mostly just for those high elevation stations. Those high elevation stations, mostly north there of Highway 2, have seen some gusts of 60 miles an hour from the northeast this morning, but closer to our fire on the northern perimeter at those higher elevations, the most of the gusts we've seen have been only 20 to 30 miles an hour. That's still gusty, but it's a lot less than what we have been seeing. Thankfully, those winds are going to die down pretty quick through the day, but they will stay out of the northeast at those higher elevations. Coming from the northeast, your gusts will really decrease through the afternoon, probably dropping below 15 miles an hour afternoon or so today. In the valley, we've seen very little wind. We've been very protected overnight. We are getting some more diurnal wind during the day now, so we're not getting that northeast flow down here. Rather, you can expect some of those more gentle upslope winds to occur during the day. So as you're going around the fire, keep in mind, as we've lost that stronger wind, you're going to see more of those slope winds. You know, the wind is going to want to push fire upslope. It's going to be very inconsistent as you move through different terrain areas, so keep your heads up for that. Otherwise, even though we've lost the wind, we are still very dry, very, very dry. So yesterday we saw RH in the single digits. We'll be just very slightly more moist today, but you should still expect RH 10%, 20% or so. Still very dry. It is January though, so it's cool this morning. It won't get very hot, staying in the 50s. For those of you who might be staying out overnight, it will be a much calmer night, especially those higher elevations than we have been seeing. So you can expect those winds to stay pretty calm through the night and better RH recovery. Still very poor in the teens at those high elevations, but getting back closer to 40%. So overall, the weather should be really favorable for you all to make progress today. Take advantage of it. Have a great shift.
Fire behavior.
Good morning, Dan Michael with your fire behavior. So the fuels out there are critically dry. The live fuels, the dead fuels, all of them are very dry. Everybody's, except apparently for me, here in Jackass this morning, you just heard it's January. The fuels don't think it's January. The fuels think it's fire season. The energy release component and the burning index, so two measures of fire danger, are above the 90th percentile, right? So season. As we move into the day, we still are going to have a lot of fire potential. Down here, there's still heat. There's heat in structures. There's heat in landscaping materials. There's heat in mulch. And as that burns and as the wind changes on it, that has the potential to contribute to fire activity. You also heard James talk about the winds. We're going to have winds from every different direction on this fire because we have the northeast winds up top. We have different drainage winds. We have slope winds that turn back and forth during the day. And then we also have a lot of topography out there. And what that means is you could see fire spread in any direction on this fire, depending on where you're standing, what the winds are doing, and what the slope is doing. And summing all of that up, there's a list in the IRPG of 5 common denominators of fire behavior on tragedy fires. I guarantee you we're having 2 of those today. We're having shifts in wind direction, and then we're going to have the fire respond to topographical conditions and run uphill. And those both come out of fires down here in the 50s and 60s and 70s. That's why that list exists. End of report. Have a safe day.
All right, next, I just want to turn your attention to the management objectives and the control objectives. You can find those on the second page of your IAP. Get familiar with it, review it with your crew, and just make sure you understand what the objectives are for this incident. Next, we'll have our assignments with Chad Acosta.
Yeah, good morning. Chad Costa, Planning Ops Trainee. First, I just want to say for the resources out there that were on IA coming back after their rest, thank you, and appreciate all the hard work out there. You did a great job. So we'll start off. Day Ops is going to be Don Fragulia, and Trainee is Mike Wench. Okay. And Planning Ops Ernie Villa. It'll be Steve Cabrera and myself. And then Branch 5, Robert Rice. Alpha is Tim Ritchie. And Charlie's Mike Seymour. Okay, for Branch 5, continue that direct and indirect lines that you have coming around the horn into Alpha. And then we're standing up Charlie today. We're going to be trying to stitch Charlie together and figure out where we can go as direct as possible. Pete English. Delta's Brad Rafiti. And Golf is Jack Selvison. And then our ride-in for the trainees, Chris Dubois. Thank you, Chris. Same story for Branch 10. Direct as much as possible. Obviously, the priority is Mount Wilson area, dealing with that direct, but also protecting those values at risk up on the mountain. And then trying to figure out stitching together direct and indirect lines coming down into Chancery Flat. Branch 20 is Jake Ackerberg. And trainee is Rob Gaylor. Juliet's Matt Barnes. Mike is Mike Klusik. Klusik, you here? I got you. Quebec, Ryan Edmondson. Yankees, James Drummond. Zulus, James Lico. Okay, Branch 20, still the #1 priority today. And getting into those houses as we transition from perimeter control to tactical patrol. I just want to say to all the resources, tactical patrol doesn't mean you just drive around and look out of your window. We need you to get out of the equipment, start walking around in the yards. We're still dealing with some of those structure fire calls a couple days into it, and that's just hidden fire. So you got to get out of your engines, and make a presence in those structures. Let's not lose any more structures in Branch 20. For contingency, we have Darren Beatty. And for Darren's crew, they're working out in the Juliet Golf area. Mostly it's made the map today, clamshell area. Continue to work on that, Darren, and continue to put in that contingency line that we have on the east, and then running north there into Division Golf. So thank you very much. We also today, you'll see in the 204s, it's not in the 203, a staging area. So if you're showing in staging, then that staging will be out here in the engine parking area. And you have a staging area manager. It's Rick Cooper. And you'll be using channel 4. Thank you, Rick. You'll be using channel 4 on the load. And Rick will just have you come over here to the left, to the right, stage right, and meet up with those staging resources. End of report.
Air operations.
Good morning, everyone. If you open up to page 24 in your IAP and take a look at the air op summary, in there you'll see all the information you need. We're still working off of 1 air to ground, so make sure that frequency, you have that in your radio, but also you have it on scan and you're monitoring it. So especially if you have aircraft working up in your area and your division, you need to be up on the radio listening to that, so you got your situational awareness of where they're working, but more importantly of where they're dropping and where that is in relationship to you and your crews. We're going to have air attack up over the fire at 8 o'clock, so when you get out there, push any of your needs up to your divisions, and they'll make those requests for aircraft. One last thing, too, is want to remind everybody, be on the lookout for any unauthorized drones. So anything you see out there, and for drones, make that, push that up to your divisions and stuff so we can vet it out. So that's really important because that's going to hamper our operations. So if you think or anybody out there you see that's operating a drone and they don't know if they're authorized, that pretty much is probably a pretty good indicator that they haven't been authorized to use their drone on the fire. Thanks.
Communications.
Good morning, Armando Delatorre, Communications. So with staging, things for you to pencil in. I'll give you guys a chance to grab a pen and pull out your the markup on the 205. That way you can, it covers everybody. On Channel 4 for your tactical is listed as Division Golf. You're going to want to add staging in on that. They're going to be sharing the TAC with them. Channel 8, Tactical Division Zulu. They're still sharing Night Division Zulu. Doesn't affect anybody here, but it is a change. And then, oh, sorry. On the air to ground, the frequency and tones on there were misprinted in the 205. The tones and frequencies in your radios are still correct. The pencil change will be for 168.400 on the transmit and receive side. Your transmit and receive tones are zeroed out. And with that being said, everybody communicate safely and have a good shift.
Medical.
Good morning, everybody. Robert Russell, Medical Unit. So for today's operational period, we're going to continue with the same ground-based resources down at the bottom in Branch 20, which are the two LA County Rescue Squads with the BLS ambulances. Additionally, for today's operational period, we're going to have a ground-based ALS 4x4 ambulance up on the top covering the Branch 5, Branch 10 area and Charlie Delta. So we're continuing to work on building up our organization with additional resources to support your needs. So one of the things I always say is that when you go out there on the line, I want you to have a plan. I want you to continue to think about what that plan is, not only during briefing, but when you do your breakouts and at your tailboards and throughout the operational period to make sure that it is still a good plan to respond in the event of a line emergency. Communicate your resource needs up according to the plan as found on the back of the IAP and on page 118 of your 2022 IRPGs. The last thing, in the event of a green emergency, run that through the division. They'll be able to get our ground-based resources out there to mitigate your needs, and we don't need to hold or clear a command for emergency traffic for the minor medicals. That said, have a wonderful, safe shift.
Safety.
Good morning, Dave Welch, Team 5 Safety. How you guys doing today? Good. A lot of people here. This is just a fraction of what's working for us. Okay, so let's start with our hazards, our safety record. Safety record so far has been awesome. All right, we did have one incident yesterday. Firefighter fell through a roof and injured an ankle. Okay, so thank you for your safety record. Let's keep that up. Especially you really need to be careful. A lot of hazards there. Most the main one being the electrical wires as if they're live. Okay, please reinforce that with your folks. Also, your footing, know where you're walking, make sure you're paying attention, and all of a sudden you're waking up down below. Next thing that we have is personal hygiene. It's flu season. Please make sure that hand sanitizer does not kill the norovirus. Hand washing with soap is what does it. and it has to be a long time. So please make sure that you're staying healthy. We also have other folks up there on the hill. Make sure that you're driving defensively, all right? Make sure that you have a plan if that vehicle stops in front of you all of a sudden, that you have the proper following distances, especially as we're traveling in the strike team configuration, that we're not putting one engine in the back of another engine. Thank you. Have a safe shift.
Logistics.
Morning, everybody. Ken Earl, Logistics Section Chief Trainee. We're here to support your needs, and now we're going to tell you how to do that. Way over 12 and 20 shift, obviously grab a 12-hour lunch. Kind of way over here, you'll see the big reefer truck. Cloning for radios is going to be around, for those of you who were here yesterday, where yesterday's briefing was. You come around this way, you'll see 3 white trailers. It's just on the other side of that. Tomorrow, we expect to be setting up over here. Dinner tonight will be served at the camp kitchen, which is setting up down on the far end of this parking lot. Right now, there is the CAL FIRE kitchen is set up over near ground support and supply. If you know where those are, they're across the canal over here on the far side. Also, that's where you're going to find fuel. And for right now, if you're in camp and you want to go to the D entrance down over here on the 4th floor, they're also serving food right there right now. And we also do have sleeper trailers in for those of you who need the sleeper trailers. They're set up down on the far end of the camp back down here. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to anyone from logistics and let us know if you have any problems or concerns. Thank you.
Finance.
Good morning, Teresa Fork, Finance Section Chief. Okay, I just want to let you know in your IAP there is a message for federal resources to be able to turn in their times and how we want it done. There's also a message for OES. If you're a CFAA resource, as OES is set up over here, you need to check in with them. And also, if you have any issues for needing reimbursement for lodging, food, and anything before it's sent, work for you guys to get started on that. Also, we have CAL FIRE, and they are set up in the white trailers. Have a good shift. Thanks.
Human resources.
Good morning. I all know that I am available if you have any HR related concerns. My information is in. If you have any questions. With that, have a safe shift.
All right, next we have our Deputy Forest Supervisor from the Angeles National Forest, Tony Martinez.
Hey, good morning. I just want to acknowledge all the good work that's happening, especially the effort around Mount Wilson yesterday. We've got a lot of critical infrastructure there for communications throughout the whole LA basin, so that was a good save. Appreciate it. Also want to acknowledge the continued good work as being ambassadors for us throughout the community. There's a lot of hurt and devastation. Continue to be sensitive to our community members and appreciate all the work on behalf of. Have a good shift and thank you.
All right, next we'll have Kevin Bohall and Dustin Mueller.
First off, thanks all. January to come down here. So appreciation for that. A lot of you guys are left your families at home, and we're thinking about that. So talking about unified command and what it means, there's multiple jurisdictions here that we're helping out. So there's probably around 9 unified incident commanders, a big group of people. So we wanted to discuss a little bit about what that means and how we brought in 2 teams to merge those 2 teams. So there's 2 specific mission tasking. There's the wildland fire environment, put the fire out, which Kevin will talk about as well. But there's Team 3 as well, that we're all three together. We're all three going to be in the same trailer in the same area, and any of the three of ICs that you talk to, we'll have the same answer. So that's what our main purpose is today, to explain that, because it is a little wonky, but it's kind of a normal thing here. Have a great shift. I'm going to turn over to Chief Bill Hall.
Yeah, thank you for the word. So first thing I kind of wanted to go over here is there's a lot more going on here, obviously, than a wildfire. I don't need to talk about that gravity. But in the future, as we go through this incident, we're doing what we can for the public specifically, right? So the public here has came in and talked to us a bunch of times. Specifically, local, state, and federal folks have showed up. The locals are really happy with what you guys are doing. What we're doing now is going to set up for what's going to happen here in the future. I would say as far as first responders here, regardless of patch or regard what we're doing, we all actually have one mission. This mission is turning into an all-risk mission. What we're doing here is going to essentially turning into an all-risk mission. What we're doing here is going to essentially get us set up for what we can do to get those folks back into their homes and back to a sense of normalcy. Thank you. Have a good shift.
All right. Just a few housekeeping items before we let you go. We appreciate your attention during this briefing. Any unassigned resources, if you are not on the IEP, any unassigned resources, come up here to the front of the stage, and we'll have some resource unit leaders to get you an assignment. Also, the breakouts are posted around the briefing area, so take a look on which division you have the breakouts posted through here. There is a cooperators meeting this morning at 10 o'clock. My right, your left, there's a breezeway. You go down to the bottom, you'll see a sign. It's in Media Room A is where that cooperators meeting will be. Tonight, here in front of the stage. Everybody be productive, be safe, and have a good shift. Thank you for your time.